We have a story now that involves quite a few people, but at the center of it all, the main character is a horse, a Mustang. Now, normally we think of Mustangs running wild, but as Kara Vanager shows us, this is sort of a horsey Pygmalion story.
She just want to make sure you get her good side.
This is Sally. Her small size and surprising skill have made her a memorable competitor in the local dressage community. But it's the Frise brand on her neck that really sets her apart from the other horses. It's a type of code that tells her story. It shows that once upon a time, in a place far from St. Louis, Sally ran free with her fellow Mustangs. The Spanish called them Los Mustaños, ownerless, wild, untamed. The horses that roamed the American wilderness weren't given a name to define their breed, but to describe their freedom. Mustangs come in all shapes, colors, and sizes, revealing their mixed heritage. When the conquistadors and colonists came to America, they brought a variety of breeds for work and war, and some of these joined existing bands of native wild horses. The result was a hardy, intelligent animal that can live up to 40 years in the wild. Despite the advance of civilization on once open lands, their descendants still run free in places like Wyoming, Montana, and Nevada. This is the story of one of these horses who ended up right here in Missouri, a little white Mustang named Sally. And the people who transformed her from a scruffy firecracker to decorated champion and adored companion.
I only went to my first riding lesson because my sister wanted to ride. Turns out she hates it. I fall in love with it. And the Spells, who owned a stables, taught me how to ride, and I got to go to the horse sales with Ernie Spell. So I grew up as a kid buying and selling horses, believe it or not, which is not what you expect, an African-American kid from Ferguson, but that's what happened. And then after I went through all of my training and education in medicine, I got back into horses.
In 2015, Dr. Taylor took his years of equestrian experience and a bidding paddle to the Extreme Mustang Makeover held in Missouri.
The Extreme Mustang Makeover, it really helps with these extra horses that the BLM has.
The Bureau of Land Management, or BLM, has been tasked with keeping the number of free-roaming Mustangs in check to protect limited rangeland resources and the health of the herds themselves. One of their management strategies is to round up some of these horses, mark them with a Frise brand, and make them available to organizations like the Extreme Mustang Makeover that get them ready for adoption by the public.
A lot of people don't realize what kind of potential these horses have.
Trainers from all over the United States apply for the competition, in which they have approximately 120 days to completely transform a wild Mustang into an adoptable horse.
In Sally's case, it was just the luck of the draw, so they just assigned us a horse. We went through the ugly stuff. I mean, like the raw horse. It wasn't like she was some killer, but she was a raw, wild horse.
Competitors demonstrate a variety of skills, many of which show just how much the horse and rider have come to trust each other in 3 short months.
Sally was a top 10 finalist, so she went into the freestyle. And the freestyle is basically a class where we can do whatever we want to showcase this horse's abilities.
When I saw her jump into the bed of the truck, I said, wait a second. This horse at 14.2 or whatever can jump into the bed of a truck. There's got to be a good job for that horse.
Spotting Sally's athleticism and intelligence during competition, Dr. Taylor adopted her and had her trained in jumping and mounted shooting. When she excelled in both, Sally was paired with a decorated trainer from Sweden to learn something more technical.
My name is Lotta Eklund. Sally is my first experience to a Mustang. She's wonderful.
I wasn't expecting dressage to really fit with Sally, but Sally tends to prove us all wrong.
She picked up so quickly. She's a bright little girl. She's very smart. We decided on taking her to her first dressage show to St. Louis, and she did amazing.
Sally is easily one of the smallest horses at most of the competitions, but that certainly doesn't seem to stop her.
People have spent a lot of money on imported warm bloods, and Sally whips them.
There was a lady standing in front of me reading the score sheets, and she goes, I got beat by a Mustang.
Sally! My mom and I, we both ride dressage, and my daughter got into it, and so we were looking for a dressage pony for her, and our trainer, Lotta, invited us out to Dr. Taylor's farm, and we saw Sally there, and she was adorable. Like, she just clicked with my daughter immediately. We loved her from the minute we saw her.
Debbie's family was so happy with Mustang Sally that they wanted to meet Zeke, so he made the trip all the way from Oklahoma to reunite with his star pupil.
Hey, girl. There we go. What was really neat about Sally's situation is whenever Brett Taylor bought this horse, he continued her training. So she continued to develop into a nice equine partner.
She can read people like little children. She's careful with them and with older people and with everybody in between. She's just a very versatile horse.
It's nice to see the hard work that we put into this horse to be appreciated and to be continued.
Domestication may have made Sally a gentler animal, but she still makes some of her own decisions. And no matter how elegant she looks during a competition, her tough Mustang roots still remain.
I had to gather some cows up for a neighbor guy. We had about 300 cattle. And when I wore that first horse out, I went and got her. And she was crossing water, pushing cows through the creeks. But she was just gritty, like she didn't quit.
Now, if you're interested in adopting one of these horses, the good news is you don't have to wait for the next Mustang makeover to roll through town. Just outside of Edwardsville, Kathy and Sean Lewis operate the legendary Mustang Sanctuary, a volunteer-run nonprofit that focuses on horses who have exhausted their chances of adoption through the BLM.
Most of the people that come and look at them are interested in the Mustangs, but they don't have the time or the knowledge to go through the gentling process, and that's a lot of what we do before they're adopted out. We've got a 100% success rate, and that is from us matching up the right horse with the right person.
Getting people and Mustangs together is what Legendary is all about, while they continue to educate the public on their role in American history.
They were the choice horse of the pioneers. They were a part of the Pony Express. Big role in the Civil War. Little Bighorn, I think, that Custer ran into his demise. The only thing that survived that was a Mustang horse named Comanche.
Shot multiple times with both bullets and arrows, the gritty Comanche was nursed back to health by the Army and then spoiled for the rest of his life, occasionally leading parades and indulging in his fondness for beer. Originally bought in St. Louis for his ill-fated master, Comanche lived 15 more years, and his taxidermied form can now be viewed at the University of Kansas Natural History Museum.
Mustangs don't give up, so we cannot give up on them. And so this is our effort. And see, I've got an applause meter out here.
Come on out, and you can see some wild ones that haven't been touched yet, and you can see the finished product, which are the permanent residents. I've been around horses my whole life, and so has my husband, and we've never seen horses with such a big heart, such caring horses.
When you visit some of the newer arrivals to the sanctuary, it may be hard to see their potential. Skinny, scruffy, and scared, they need skilled trainers and eventually an owner who will invest the same patience and love in them that Sally's have.